The process I use to let subconscious anger go. Welcome to Be Fab, Be You Made Simple, your daily dose of inspiration designed to help you reinvent yourself by optimizing your body and mind. I am Maria Horstman, a health editor and coach, a fitness trainer, a speaker, and an entrepreneur, founder of BeFabBeYou.com. Our episodes are short and will bring you valuable content and practical nuggets for optimal health and fitness that you can implement ASAP. Let's get you to feel fabulous every day. Are you ready? Check out the show notes to 1, schedule a free call with me to discuss a plan to take your health to the next level. 2, submit a question to be featured in our Ask Me Anything episodes on Sundays. Connect with me on social media and much more. Hit the subscribe button, and if you like what you hear, share with your friends and leave it a rating. The process I use to let subconscious anger go. Welcome back to the Be Fab, Be You Made Simple podcast. I am excited to be here and share my experiences and knowledge to empower you to transform your life. So recently, a subscriber of my newsletter reached out to me because of some of my notes about being verbally abused during my childhood and how I realized that my past experiences have been impacting my adulthood. And I realized that especially during my business, or since I started my business, she wondered what I had learned and what I knew about it. We had a great conversation. She shared her experiences related to the same topic during her childhood and even during her previous marriage, and how she believes all this combined have impacted her children, their relationship now, and they're in their 30s, her children. And I was able to resonate with the circumstances from different angles. It was kind of amazing to hear all that. And although I was I was physically abused, but there are 3 or 4 episodes that were traumatic, I can say. But I think that the verbal and circumstantial abuse had the greatest impact on me. I mentioned to her, it wasn't until I had become an entrepreneur that I noticed how my behaviors, thoughts, and actions were not at par and were interfering with my success right from the start of the business. And I couldn't understand why. I couldn't understand, why I couldn't actually make things happen in the way that I wanted. I was having a hard time changing and shifting my thoughts. So my personal growth and self-discovery journey started in September 2015, and today's episode is about to share some of that with you because I think that you might resonate as well. A few weeks prior to September 2015, I had met another health practitioner who worked with terminally ill cancer patients, among other patients, and she helped them leave this world at peace, in a nutshell, by applying a technology called EVOX, E-V-O-X. She helped them basically release negative emotions by changing their perceptions in life. I was very intrigued by that because I thought maybe this could be part of my issues, but I had no idea. Jennifer invited me to do a session and to experience this for myself. So she also thought that it could help me to overcome some of the barriers that I was experiencing, which I had shared them with her. So we're 2 entrepreneurs talking to each other and talking about the life of an entrepreneurship and difficulties. So I didn't think twice. I love being a guinea pig. And I saw her not only for once, folks, but ended up being 3 sessions. Those sessions and the outcomes opened me up for self-development. EVOX basically works on changing our perceptions. So clinical experience has shown that most perceptions tend to remain intact for a significant period of time because perception creates functional reality. So hence, perception has a powerful impact on our entire life, including our health and wellness. So a positive outlook will allow you to function with greater ease and less stress. A narrow outlook creates more stress and impact our wellness in a negative way. I think we can all understand that, especially with the rise of mindfulness and so on, right? That's so discussed these days. So when we are able to shift our perception, we increase a level of control in ourselves. And this perception shifts can be on behaviors, self-image, wellness, performance, beliefs, emotions, addictions, and relationships. So for example, when your perception is lacking, you will create this function of holding on to opinions, attitudes, and ways of dealing in life. They limit our ability to choose our outcomes. So you can imagine how this can be part of a major barrier related to relationships and even your ability to achieve goals and even healing or recovering from illnesses and injuries. So in a nutshell, how it works is this Evox records your voice and displays it in a computer as a perception index, which shows the energy pattern in your voice. So the process, including cycles of reading the voice, which senses the energy, and deep minutes, and a few minutes of deep reflection. So the person will kind of, the therapist will kind of basically guide you through this. This reading the voice and receiving information is repeated until you're able to release or shift the pattern of thoughts, which again is captured by this energy. So this perception index is divided into 12 zones, allowing you to kind of identify and consider potential blockages. Blockages, yes, many. And when I did this the first time in 2015, Jennifer suggested I started identifying the emotions for every family member and, of course, myself. The reading also showed, who in priority had the most impact on me as a person. In my case, the priority of impact came my mom, then my father, brother, sister, and lastly, my grandmother, which is from my mom's side. And that's the only grandmother or grandparent I had access in my family, basically. If you have others, then you would add others. So among the zones, this perception zones, the zone 7, which is anger versus acceptance of change. Again, anger versus acceptance of change came out as a red, basically extreme imbalance for every single person in my life, including myself. Lots of anger. Holy smokes. I couldn't believe it first, but it all made sense once I started to work on this. Until that day, it had never crossed my mind what was going on and how, the emotional baggage was part of my life and how it was impacting me. So, for the next 3 weeks, because I saw her once a week, I did some deep work to release those emotions. And it was emotionally draining as well, but so fulfilling and so worth it. The lessons I learned there are for my lifetime. And I'm here sharing them with you because I think there is a power of impacting you. First is we got to recognize, be aware that these things exist and then can impact us. The next is we can take action. So in my last session with her, the third session, after I had shifted my perceptions related to everyone in my family, including myself, I remember telling Jennifer, and I says, man, I'm so afraid of going home. and feeling all this anger and heaviness and upset that I always felt. And I was going to go home in December, a few months from that point. So she looked at me and says, Maria, pay attention. You're likely going to feel lighter, more patient, and their behavior and words will not impact you to the same level it did before. So she also asked me to pay attention, not only related to family, but how my behavior was going to happen, what my behavior is going to be, with around other people in my life, friends and family, but especially friends over here and people at work and so on. She was 100% correct, folks. Something had shifted. And it shifted almost, immediately. And for the first time in kind of forever, I had a peaceful trip back home. And I wish I could have stayed even longer. And then I also noticed with other relationships of people who kind of ticked me off, they were much better here too. So needless to say, I became a believer. I started to value the power of our thoughts and the words. I became to realize, how important those things were. And I also became very curious about myself. And I started to ask even harder questions to myself. And my personal growth journey took a turn for the better from that point on. And I'm convinced that I became a better coach, and for my clients, and a better friend too. I learned the importance of vulnerability, compassion, patience, forgiveness. It became clear that giving ourselves permission to grieve and to heal first before giving all of ourselves to others is essential. If you're curious to know what this zone 7 of anger versus acceptance of change is, I'm going to share a little bit with you today. And this description comes straight from Evox's report. Here it goes. The subconscious anger-related energy may be observed as a propensity toward anger from even the smallest inconveniences or violations of the individual's expectations. Anger is a defense mechanism triggered by the perception of various threats. The perception of threats may grow if the individual is not willing to confront and deal with them before the associated stress grows out of control. That does, the threat may come from within. Anger frequently covers up grief issues from feelings of loss and betrayal, which the individual doesn't yet know how to release in a healthy manner. Disappointment and distress may manifest as anger in self-sabotage, chronic worry, indecision, and threat. Anger is frequently associated with muscle tension, tweaking, back problems. The anxiety associated with anger may induce heart problems with heightened blood pressure, digestive disorders, kidney problems, and adrenal dysfunction. Not all anger is irrational or unhealthy. When appropriate, it provides the energy and drive to correct oneself. Anger sends the message that something must change. A willingness to initiate or accept change can correct problems and preserve subconscious anger from building in the first place. With a calm security gained through the release of subconscious anger, completion of the grieving process, and willingness to face challenges, the individual becomes better able to experience harmony and appreciate beauty appropriately. Wow, right? There is so much behind these words and, applies so much to me. And I'm so grateful to have met Jennifer and to have been exposed to this process because it changed my life. It could change yours too. My journey in the use of Evox didn't stop in 2015. By the way, I have recommended many people to see Jennifer and to use this technology, which is available in other states and countries too. Anyway, more recently, I reached out to Jennifer about a few other things and blockages that I felt like were happening to me. And, I noticed that I was being on my way and not using my gifts and energy properly. So next episode, I will share more information about the latest Evox sessions I had. Plus, I think you'll be interested or surprised, I guess, to know whether my past emotions had returned or not. So here is my challenge to you. Do a self-evaluation. Do you have any habits, emotions, thoughts, beliefs, addictions, etc., that aren't the healthiest in your life? Have you thought why you are the way you are? Our gifts or things that we are great at often come from circumstances and experiences that we went through during our childhoods. Not to say that they are bad. No, they are great. They make us great, right? So what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right? Yeah. So I invite you to write these things down. You can start your journey now. So thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the BFAB Made Simple podcast. Can you do me a favor? If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and leave it a rating. It helps the podcast, and I really appreciate it. If you're wondering where to start, head over to my website, linked in the show notes, to sign up to receive encouragement, tips, and strategies to maximize results. While you're there, download a free health guide to get you started today. If you're looking for a coach and trainer to help you optimize your weight, body, and health, get on my calendar. Let's discuss your goals, establish a custom plan, implement it, and celebrate your results. Together, we can do this. Find the link to schedule a free energy audit strategy session also in the show notes. Connect with me on social media. I would love for you to let me know that you're listening to the show. Also, see the show notes for the links. In addition to a qualified healthcare practitioner, it's important that you have someone in your corner who is in for you and will help you to plan and stay on track implementing your goals. Are you ready? Let's rock and roll this boat. I will see you on the next episode of BFAB Made Simple. Just a reminder that this podcast is for educational purposes only. This podcast is not a substitute for health care by a doctor or other qualified medical professionals. This podcast is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or other professional advice or services.